My rich wife smirked and said, "Go ahead, leave. I give you a week." I laid my keys on the counter and walked out without a word. By morning, her father was screaming into the phone. "The bank just called." "What did you do?" She thought I was nothing without her family's name. "My name is Raymond Fisher. I'm 44 years old. And this is the story of how I learned that the woman I married never knew who I was." I met Adriana Cunningham 15 years ago at a charity auction. She was 25, beautiful, standing beside a Monet like she understood it. I was 29, managing a small investment portfolio, stupid enough to think confidence meant competence. Her father, Theodore Cunningham, owned one of the largest investment firms in the Northeast. When we got engaged, he told me something I'll never forget. "Son, I need someone who understands numbers. Adriana has taste, but taste doesn't build empires." So I built it. For 14 years, I restructured Theodore's entire operation, created trusts, established protective mechanisms, turned a regional firm into a national powerhouse. I did it quietly, the way you do when you marry into old money. I let Adriana curate art collections, sit on gallery boards, take credit for philanthropic work I funded and structured. I told myself it didn't matter who got the applause, but it always matters. That night, we were in the penthouse overlooking Boston. Adriana had returned from some gala, barefoot on marble, wine glass dangling like a prop. I was reviewing trust documents at the kitchen island. "Still playing with spreadsheets?" she said, bored. "These spreadsheets pay for that wine," I replied. She laughed. "Not with me. At me. Raymond, sweetheart, everything here is mine. The wine, the view, the air you breathe. My father built this." Something cold settled in my chest. "Your father built the name," I said carefully. "I built the structure keeping it standing." "Go ahead then," she said, smirking. "Leave. I give you a week without me. You'll come crawling back when you realize you're nothing without this family." I stared at her. She actually believed it. Believed I was decorative, useful, but replaceable. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my keys. Penthouse, car, private elevator. I set them on the marble counter, one by one. "What are you doing?" Adriana asked. "You said leave," I said quietly. "So I'm leaving." I grabbed my coat and walked to the door. "Fine, go," she called after me. "Jeff will change the locks in the morning anyway." I didn't respond. The door closed with a soft click. I took the stairs 42 floors down because I needed time to think. By the lobby, my phone was out. I sent 3 messages to 3 attorneys. One word: execute. I got into a car I'd bought months ago under a corporate LLC she didn't know existed. I didn't go to a hotel. I went to my office, the separate one, where I'd spent 2 years preparing for this. I sat at my desk and watched automated systems begin rerouting access across 17 accounts. Nothing illegal, just careful dismantling of a structure I'd built. By 3 a.m., Theodore's emergency credit line froze. By 4, Adriana's gallery fund flagged for review. By 5, the trust paying for the penthouse transferred control back to me. I leaned back and closed my eyes. Somewhere across the city, Adriana slept, thinking she'd won. By morning, everyone would know different. The sun hadn't fully risen when Theodore Cunningham's phone started ringing. I knew this because I programmed the alerts to cascade in a specific order, timed to maximize confusion. First the credit facility, then the operational accounts, then the trust protocols. Each one designed to send automated notifications to different departments, different people, different panic points. I was sitting in my office with black coffee watching the city wake up when my own phone buzzed. "Theodore." I let it ring through to voicemail. Then it rang again, and again. On the 4th call, I answered. "Raymond, what the hell is going on?" Theodore's voice was tight, controlled, but I could hear the edge underneath. "Good morning, Theodore," I said calmly. "Don't good morning me. I just got a call from First Harbor saying the backup credit line is frozen. They're saying there's a custodial authorization issue." "That's correct," I replied. Silence. "Then, explain." "I withdrew my custodial guarantees last night. The credit line was structured under my authorization as managing trustee. Without that authorization, the facility can't process new draws." "Raymond, this isn't funny. We have payroll clearing tomorrow." "Payroll will clear," I said. "Operational accounts are separate." but discretionary credit access has been suspended pending restructure. I could hear him breathing, trying to process. Why would you do this? Your daughter told me to leave. So I did. And when I left, I took my authorizations with me. You can't just, he started, then stopped. Because he knew. He knew exactly what I could do because he'd signed the documents giving me that authority years ago when he needed someone he could trust to hold the keys. Before he could respond, I heard another voice in the background. Adriana. Shrill, confused. What do you mean the bank called? It's 7 in the morning, she was saying. Theodore's voice became muffled as he covered the phone, but I could still hear him. The bank just called. Your husband pulled his guarantees. What does that even mean? Adriana demanded. Theodore came back on the line. Raymond, where are you? Does it matter? We need to talk. In person. Today. I don't think so, I said. I gave Adriana what she wanted. Space. A week, I believe she said. Let's see how the week goes. Raymond, listen to me. I hung up. 30 seconds later, my phone rang again. This time it was Adriana. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. What did you do? She hissed immediately. Good morning, Adriana, I said pleasantly. Don't play games with me. My father just said you froze accounts. What accounts? What are you talking about? I didn't freeze anything, I corrected. I simply removed my authorizations from the systems I built. Turns out when you tell the architect to leave, the building gets a little unstable. You're insane, she spat. No, I'm precise. There's a difference. Raymond, I swear if you think this is going to make me beg you to come back. I don't want you to beg, I interrupted. I want you to understand something you've never bothered to learn. Everything you thought was yours, I built it. The trust structures, the credit facilities, the investment protocols, all of it runs on systems I designed with my name as the failsafe. And last night, I pulled that failsafe. You can't do this. Her voice was rising now, panic bleeding through the anger. I already did. Enjoy your week, Adriana. I ended the call and powered off my phone. Outside my window, Boston was coming alive, people heading to work, living their normal lives. Somewhere across the city, in a penthouse that no longer recognized her codes, my wife was beginning to realize she'd made a terrible miscalculation, and her father was scrambling to figure out just how bad the damage really was. By noon, Adriana's world had narrowed to a series of declined transactions and unanswered calls. She sat in the penthouse living room, laptop open, staring at error messages she didn't understand. Her personal assistant had stopped responding. Her stylist canceled their appointment. Even her car service said her account needed updating. That's when her best friend, Monica, showed up unannounced. Monica had been Adriana's roommate at Yale, her maid of honor, the person she called after every gallery opening and charity gala. They'd shared everything for 20 years. Or so Adriana thought. I heard, Monica said, settling onto the white leather sofa without waiting for an invitation. Heard what? Adriana snapped, not looking up from her laptop. That Raymond left. That things are falling apart. Adriana's head jerked up. How did you? He told me. Monica said simply. The room went cold. What do you mean he told you? Adriana's voice was dangerously quiet. Monica pulled out her phone, scrolled, then turned the screen toward Adriana. Text messages. Dozens of them. Between Monica and Raymond. Dating back months. Before you lose it, Monica said calmly. It's not what you think. We weren't having an affair. Raymond reached out to me 6 months ago because he was worried about you. About us. About what you become. Adriana stared at the messages, her best friend's name at the top of a conversation she'd never known existed. You've been talking to my husband behind my back. The words came out strangled. I've been watching you destroy him for years, Monica corrected. Every dinner party where you'd mock his work. Every gala where you'd introduce him as the finance guy like he was your accountant. Every time you'd roll your eyes when he tried to explain what he actually did. That's not. Adriana started. It is, Monica interrupted. And 3 months ago, when you told me you were thinking about divorcing him and taking everything, I told Raymond. I told him you were planning to blindside him with papers and a legal team your father was assembling. Adriana felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. Why would you do that? She whispered. Because I've known you since we were 19, Adriana, and I watched you become someone I don't recognize. Someone cruel. Raymond didn't deserve what you were planning to do to him. Monica stood up, smoothing her skirt. He called me last night after he left. Asked me to come check on you, make sure you were safe. Even after everything, he was worried about you. That's the kind of man he is. And you threw him away like he was nothing. Get out, Adriana said, voice shaking. I'm going. But you should know something else. When you go looking for support, when you start calling all those friends you think you have, you're going to find out how many of them actually respected Raymond more than they ever liked you. Monica walked to the door, paused. He built everything, Adriana, and we all knew it. You were just the only one who refused to see it. The door closed quietly behind her. Adriana sat alone in the penthouse, surrounded by art she'd curated and furniture she'd selected, and a view she'd always thought of as hers. For the first time, she wondered how many other people had been watching her marriage from the outside, seeing things she'd been too arrogant to notice. Her phone buzzed. A message from her father. Office. Now, we need to talk about damage control. She looked around the empty penthouse one more time, then grabbed her coat. Adriana arrived at her father's office to find him behind his desk with two men she didn't recognize. One was elderly, sharp-eyed, wearing an expensive suit. The other was younger, carrying a leather portfolio. Adriana, this is Gerald Hutchins, our attorney, and Mark Sterling from Forensic Accounting, Theodore said without preamble. Forensic Accounting, Adriana repeated. Why do we need? Sit down, Theodore interrupted. She sat. Gerald opened a folder. Mrs. Fisher, we've been reviewing your personal accounts and discovered some concerning discrepancies. What discrepancies? Mark leaned forward. Over the past 3 years, you've accumulated approximately $2 million in personal debt across 17 credit cards and 3 personal loans. Adriana's stomach dropped. That's impossible, she said weakly. It's documented, Mark replied, sliding papers across the desk. Designer purchases, private jet charters, exclusive memberships, all charged to accounts we initially thought were family business expenses. They're not. They're personal cards opened in your name, using the family's credit history as collateral. Theodore's voice was ice. Were you planning to tell me you've been funding your lifestyle on credit? I thought. Adriana started, then stopped. She thought the money would always be there. Thought someone else was paying attention. Thought Raymond was handling it. Your husband wasn't paying these cards, Gerald said flatly. He separated his finances from yours 2 years ago. We found the documentation this morning. He's been covering his own expenses and contributing to shared household costs. But your personal spending? That's been all you. $2 million, Adriana, Theodore said. And now that Raymond's pulled his guarantees, every creditor is calling those debts due immediately because they were leveraged against family assets he controlled. The room spun slightly. How did I not know about this? She whispered. Because you never looked, Mark said, not unkindly. The card sent statements to an email address you never checked. The interest was automatically paid from an account you assumed was family money. It was your money, drawn from a trust Raymond set up for you years ago. That trust is now empty. Gerald pulled out another document. We also need to discuss the gallery fund, the Cunningham Family Arts Initiative. What about it? Adriana asked, dreading the answer. It's technically insolvent. Has been for 18 months. Raymond was covering the shortfalls through personal capital injections to protect your reputation. Those injections stopped last night. Theodore stood up and walked to the window, hands clasped behind his back. The gallery's board of directors met this morning, he said quietly. They voted to remove you as director pending financial review. The news will be public by tomorrow. Adriana felt tears building but refused to let them fall. This can't be happening. It's already happened, Theodore said, turning to face her. And we have 48 hours to figure out damage control before the press gets hold of this story. The daughter of Theodore Cunningham removed from her own charity for financial mismanagement. Do you understand what that does to our reputation? I didn't mismanage anything. Adriana protested. You just what? Theodore's voice finally rose. You just spent money you didn't have. You just assumed someone else would clean up your mess. You just mocked the one man who was holding everything together while you played curator. The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, Gerald spoke. We need to locate Raymond and negotiate. If he's willing to restore certain authorizations, we might contain this before it becomes catastrophic. He won't, Adriana said hollowly. I know him. Once he makes a decision, he doesn't reverse it. Theodore looked at his daughter with something that might have been disappointment or might have been recognition. Then we'd better figure out how to survive without him, he said. Because right now we're drowning. I hadn't seen my daughter Sophia in 2 days, and that was by design. Not my design, Adriana's. She'd been keeping Sophia close, feeding her a version of events where I was the villain who abandoned the family. But teenagers aren't stupid, and Sophia was sharper than most. When she finally called me Thursday afternoon, her voice was strained. Dad, can we meet? Just us. Of course. Where? The bookstore on Newberry Street, the one we used to go to. 30 minutes later, I walked into Trident Booksellers and found Sophia in the back corner, same spot where we used to sit when she was younger, reading her way through entire shelves while I worked on my laptop nearby. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, wearing her school uniform like she'd come straight from class. I sat down across from her. Hey, sweetheart. Mom says you're trying to destroy us, she said immediately, no preamble. That you've frozen all the accounts, and we're going to lose everything. She's been crying for 2 days. I took a breath. What do you think is happening? Sophia's jaw tightened. I think you and Mom had a fight, and you left. But I don't understand why the bank accounts matter. Why can't you just unfreeze them, and we can figure this out? Because they're not frozen, Sophia. I removed my authorizations from accounts I built and managed. Your mom is realizing that a lot of what she thought was hers was actually structured under my name for legal and tax purposes. So you did do this on purpose, she said, accusation in her voice. Yes, I said simply. I did. Your mother told me to leave. She said I'd come crawling back in a week when I realized I was nothing without the Cunningham name. So I left, and I took with me what was actually mine, the infrastructure, the authorizations, the systems that kept everything running. Sophia stared at me. That's cold, Dad. It's honest, I corrected. Sophia, I need to tell you something, and it's going to be hard to hear. Your mother was planning to divorce me 6 months ago. She was working with attorneys to structure it, so I'd leave with nothing, claiming I contributed nothing to the family wealth. Her eyes widened. What? Monica told me. Your mom's best friend. She came to me because she knew what your mother was planning wasn't right. I didn't want to believe it at first, but I started paying attention, started documenting things. And 3 months ago, I found the emails between your mother and the law firm. Sophia looked like she might cry, but was fighting it. Why didn't you tell me? Because you're 17. You shouldn't have to choose sides in your parents' marriage. But now that it's public, now that your mother is painting me as a villain, you deserve to know the truth. Does Grandpa Theodore know? He suspected. He told your mother it was a bad idea, but she didn't listen. Sophia was quiet for a long moment, processing. Then, what about Caleb? My chest tightened. Caleb, my 23-year-old son from a relationship before I met Adriana. A relationship I've been honest about from the beginning, but Adriana had never accepted him, never allowed him in our home, never acknowledged him as part of our family. What about him? I asked carefully. Mom said you're probably with him now, that you chose your other family over us. Is that true? I felt anger rising but kept my voice level. Caleb is my son, Sophia. He's your half-brother. I've always wanted you two to have a relationship, but your mother wouldn't allow it. She made it clear that if I wanted to be part of your life, Caleb couldn't be part of mine. So I saw him separately, quietly, because I refused to abandon either of my children. Tears finally spilled down Sophia's cheeks. I have a brother, and you never told me. I tried to tell you, sweetheart, multiple times, but your mother would shut it down, and I didn't want to put you in the middle of a fight. I was wrong. I should have fought harder for you two to know each other. I want to meet him, Sophia said suddenly. I want to meet Caleb. Are you sure? Yes. If he's my brother, I should know him. And if Mom kept that from me, then maybe she's kept other things from me too. I pulled out my phone and texted Caleb. Are you free for dinner tonight? Someone wants to meet you. His response came immediately. Oh, your sister. 3 dots then. Seriously? Seriously. Luigi's at 7. I'll be there. I looked at Sophia. He's excited to meet you. He's been waiting 17 years for this. She wiped her eyes. What's he like? He's in graduate school, studying architecture. Plays guitar. Has your sense of humor. You're going to like him. Sophia nodded, then asked the question I'd been dreading. Are you and Mom getting divorced? Yes, I said. I'm sorry, Sophia, but yes. This isn't something we can fix. Because of the money. Because your mother never saw me as a partner. She saw me as a tool, someone useful to have around, but not worth respecting. And I can't live like that anymore. Sophia reached across the table and took my hand. I don't think you're a villain, Dad. I think you're tired of being invisible. I squeezed her hand, throat tight. Thank you for hearing me out. Can I ask you something? She said. Anything. When this is all over, when everything settles, will I still have both my parents? Or are you going to disappear? Sweetheart, I'm not going anywhere. Your mother and I are done, but you're my daughter. That doesn't change, ever. She nodded, visibly relieved. Okay, then let's go meet my brother. Theodore called an emergency board meeting for Monday morning. I wasn't invited, but I knew what was happening because I still had access to the company's calendar systems. My access codes hadn't been revoked because I'd built the security infrastructure, and I'd given myself backdoor access years ago as a safety measure. Not to spy, to protect. At 9 a.m., I received a text from a number I didn't recognize. You need to see this. Attached was a live audio feed from the boardroom. Someone inside was streaming the meeting to me. I plugged in earbuds and listened. Theodore's voice came through first, strained. Gentlemen, ladies, thank you for coming on short notice. We have a situation that requires immediate board action. We know about the situation, Theodore, said James Pemberton, a senior board member and Theodore's former business partner. Your son-in-law just took apart our operational infrastructure like he was defusing a bomb. The question is, what are we doing about it? We're negotiating, Theodore replied. Negotiating what? Another voice demanded. He holds all the cards. Every trust, every account structure, every tax shield. He built it and he controls it. We gave him that power. You gave him that power. Because I trusted him, Theodore said defensively. You trusted him because he was competent, James shot back. More competent than anyone else in this room, including you. And now we're paying the price for treating him like hired help instead of the partner he actually was. Silence fell over the room. Another voice, this one belonging to Patricia Simmons, the board's financial auditor. I've reviewed the structure. It's brilliant, legally airtight. Every authorization, every transfer protocol, every failsafe, they all require Raymond Fisher's personal approval. There's no override. He designed it that way specifically to prevent exactly what Adriana is trying to do now, wrestle control away from the person who built it. So what you're saying, Theodore said slowly, is that we have no leverage. Not exactly, Patricia replied. We have one piece of leverage. His reputation. He's a professional. If we approach this professionally, offer him fair terms, he might be willing to negotiate a transition. And if he's not, someone asked. Patricia's voice was grim. Then Cunningham Capital Management collapses within 90 days. Maybe sooner. The room erupted in overlapping voices, panic and anger bleeding together. I listened to them scramble, these men and women who'd attended galas and charity auctions with Adriana, who'd smiled at me across conference tables while treating me like I was background staff. Then Theodore's voice cut through. There's another option. We remove Adriana from all operational roles. We make it clear to Raymond that she no longer has any authority over family business decisions. We offer him sole operational control, independent of the marriage. You'd cut out your own daughter? James asked, sounding shocked. My daughter just cost us $200 million in frozen assets and threatened the collapse of a firm my grandfather built, Theodore said, voice hard. Yes, I cut her out if it means survival. I felt something unexpected. Not satisfaction, but sadness. Theodore was finally seeing what I'd seen for years. His daughter was a liability. Patricia spoke again. We need a vote. All in favor of offering Raymond Fisher full operational control as an independent contractor, separate from family authority. One by one, voices called out, aye. When the count finished, it was unanimous. Theodore cleared his throat. Then someone needs to reach out to Raymond. Make the offer official. I'll do it, James said. He'll listen to me. We've always had mutual respect. Make it clear, Theodore added, that this isn't charity. This is recognition. He earned this position. We should have given it to him years ago. The meeting adjourned. I sat in my office, earbuds still in, staring at nothing. My phone rang. James Pemberton. I answered. Hello, James. Raymond. I assume you've been listening. No point in lying. Yes. Good. Then you know what we're offering. Full operational control, board seat, equity position, compensation package that reflects your actual value. Your marriage to Adriana becomes irrelevant to your role in the company. What about Adriana? I asked. She's being removed from all decision-making positions. She'll retain her trust fund, her shares, but no operational authority. The board was unanimous. I'll let that sink in. Her father agreed to this. Her father proposed it. Raymond, Theodore knows he made a mistake. He chose loyalty to blood over loyalty to competence, and it nearly destroyed everything. He's not making that mistake twice. I'll think about it, I said. Don't think too long. We have 72 hours before credit agencies start downgrading us. He hung up. I sat there, holding the phone, feeling the weight of a decision that would define everything going forward. 3 days after the board meeting, I received a package at my office. No return address, just a plain manila envelope with my name typed on the label. Inside was a USB drive and a handwritten note. You deserve to know the truth. A friend. I plugged the drive into my laptop. It contained a PDF report, professionally formatted, dated over the past 6 months. The header read, Financial and Personal Activity Report. Subject, Adriana Cunningham Fisher. Someone had hired a private investigator to follow my wife. I scrolled through pages of photographs, bank statements, credit card receipts, text messages. My stomach turned as the picture became clear. Adriana hadn't just been spending recklessly. She'd been living a completely separate life I knew nothing about. The photos showed her at restaurants I'd never been to, with people I'd never met. Expensive lunches charged to cards I didn't know existed. Hotel rooms in Boston booked under her maiden name. And then there were the text messages, extracted from phone records, conversations with someone named D, that made my blood run cold. Ray suspects nothing. He's too busy with his spreadsheets to notice I have a life. When are you leaving him? You've been saying that for months. Soon. My attorney says we need to wait until after the fiscal year closes. Better positioning for asset division. I leaned back in my chair, hands shaking slightly. The betrayal wasn't surprising. Not anymore. But seeing it documented, quantified, time-stamped, that hit different. I kept reading. The investigator had identified D as Derek Sullivan, a gallery owner from New York, divorced, family money, exactly the type Adriana would gravitate toward. They'd been seeing each other for 8 months, meeting at art shows, spending weekends at his place in the Hamptons while I thought she was at gallery conferences. The report concluded with a financial analysis. Adriana had spent approximately $340,000 on this relationship. Hotels, gifts, travel, all funded through credit cards she'd opened using the family's credit history as leverage. My phone rang. James Pemberton. Raymond, did you receive a package today? He asked without preamble. You sent this. I said, I hired the investigator 3 months ago. After the board meeting where you saved us from that disastrous merger deal, I started paying attention to how Adriana treated you. The dismissiveness, the mockery. It bothered me. So I did some digging. Why? I asked. Because you're the best financial mind I've worked with in 40 years, and I watched Theodore's daughter treat you like disposable help. I want to know if my instincts were right. They were. I stared at the screen, at the evidence of my wife's double life. What do you want to do with this? That's up to you. But Raymond, if you negotiate with the board, if you come back to Cunningham Capital, you need to do it from a position of absolute strength. That report gives you leverage. Adriana was planning to divorce you and paint you as a gold digger. Now you can prove she was the one exploiting the family's resources. This will destroy her reputation, I said. She was willing to destroy yours. James replied. I'm not telling you to use it. I'm telling you to have it, just in case she decides to get ugly. After he hung up, I sat alone with the evidence. Part of me wanted to send it to Theodore, to show him exactly who his daughter was. But another part, the part that still remembered loving her once, hesitated. My phone buzzed. A text from Sophia. Dad, can I stay with you this week? I can't be around Mom right now. She won't stop crying and blaming everyone but herself. I typed back, of course. I'll set up the guest room. Can Caleb come for dinner tomorrow? He's funny. I like having a brother. I smiled despite everything. Absolutely. He'll be glad to hear that. I looked back at the report on my screen, then closed the laptop. Whatever Adriana had done, whatever she'd planned, I had my daughter now. I had my son. I had the respect of the board and a future that didn't depend on her family's name. The truth was documented, secured, ready if I needed it. But right now, I had a guest room to prepare for my daughter. Adriana showed up at my office unannounced Thursday afternoon. My assistant tried to stop her, but she pushed past, bursting through my door like a storm. "We need to talk," she demanded. I looked up from my computer. "You should have called first." "I tried. You blocked my number." "I blocked your personal number. Your attorney has my attorney's contact information. That's how we communicate now." She closed the door behind her, leaned against it. She looked thinner, makeup not quite covering the exhaustion. "Raymond, please. Can we just talk like human beings for 5 minutes?" I gestured to the chair across from my desk. 5 minutes. She sat, clutching her purse like a lifeline. "I know you're angry. I know I said things I shouldn't have. But this, what you're doing, it's destroying everything." "I'm not doing anything," I said calmly. "I removed my authorizations from systems I built. That's all. That's not all, and you know it. My father's company is hemorrhaging money. The board is in chaos. My reputation is ruined. Your reputation is ruined because you spent $2 million you didn't have and got removed from the gallery board for financial mismanagement. I didn't do that. You did." Her face flushed. "I made mistakes. I admit that. But we can fix this. We can go to counseling, work through our issues." "Adriana," I interrupted. "I know about Derek." She froze. "I know about the hotels, the trips to the Hamptons, the $340,000 you spent on him over 8 months. I have bank statements, photos, text messages, all of it." The color drained from her face. "How did you?" "It doesn't matter how. What matters is that you were planning to divorce me, take everything, and paint me as someone who contributed nothing to this family. Meanwhile, you were funding an affair with family money and preparing to walk away like you were the victim." Adriana's hands trembled. "Raymond, please, if that gets out. If that gets out, you lose whatever sympathy you still have. Your father will cut you off completely. The board will see you as a liability instead of just a disappointment. And any judge will laugh your attorney out of court if you try to claim spousal support." She stood up, voice breaking. "So what? You're going to blackmail me?" "No," I said, standing to face her. "I'm going to give you a choice. You can accept a fair divorce settlement, split assets appropriately, agree to shared custody of Sophia with no restrictions on my relationship with Caleb, and walk away quietly. Or you can fight me, drag this through the courts, and I'll make sure every single detail of your affair becomes public record." "You wouldn't do that," she whispered. "Try me," I said flatly. "I built everything you thought was yours. I protected you, provided for you, and loved you for 14 years. You mocked me, dismissed me, and planned to destroy me. So yes, Adriana, I absolutely would do that if you forced my hand." Tears streamed down her face now. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. I felt trapped, like I was living in a life someone else designed." "You were living in a life I designed," I corrected, "because you never bothered to learn how any of it worked. You just enjoyed the benefits and resented the person providing them." "What about Sophia?" she asked desperately. "Sophia is staying with me this week. She made that choice herself. And before you accuse me of turning her against you, she figured it out on her own. She's 17, not stupid." Adriana sank back into the chair, defeated. "So I've lost everything. My daughter, my reputation, my marriage." "You didn't lose those things," I said, voice softer now. "You threw them away because you thought you could always get something better. But there isn't anything better, Adriana. There's just different, and usually worse." She wiped her eyes, mascara smearing. "What happens now? Now you talk to your attorney. You accept the settlement terms Catherine is drafting. You co-parent Sophia with dignity and respect, and you rebuild your life without me in it. And if I don't, then we go to war, and I promise you, you will lose. I don't want to do that. Despite everything, I don't want to humiliate you publicly. But I will protect myself and my children. That's non-negotiable." Adriana stood slowly, gathering her purse. At the door, she paused. "I'm sorry, Raymond. For what it's worth, I really am sorry. I believe you," I said. "But sorry doesn't undo the damage. It just means you finally understand what you did." She left without another word. I watched through my window as she walked to her car, shoulders slumped, looking smaller somehow than she had when she arrived. My phone buzzed. A text from Theodore. "Can we meet?" I want to make you an offer you can't refuse. I smiled slightly and typed back, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., your office. The war was ending. Now came the rebuilding. The mediation took place in a neutral conference room downtown, lawyers on both sides. A professional mediator named Dr. Ellen Cortez presiding. Adriana sat across from me, her attorney Roger beside her, both looking like they'd prepared for battle. Let's begin, Dr. Cortez said. Mr. Fisher, your attorney has submitted settlement terms. Would you like to summarize? Catherine spoke. My client proposes a clean division. Mrs. Fisher receives her trust fund, which remains intact at approximately $8 million. She keeps the art collection she personally curated, valued at $2 million. Mr. Fisher retains his equity stake in Cunningham Capital, his personal accounts, and his separate business holdings. That's completely unacceptable, Roger interrupted. Mrs. Fisher contributed 14 years to this marriage. Mrs. Fisher contributed 14 years of spending. Catherine cut him off. We have documentation showing she accumulated $2 million in personal debt and spent an additional $340,000 on an extramarital affair. My client subsidized her lifestyle while she actively planned to divorce him and take everything. Adriana's face went white. Roger leaned over, whispered urgently to her. We also propose, Catherine continued, joint custody of Sophia with no restrictions on Mr. Fisher's relationship with his son Caleb. Mrs. Fisher attempted to exclude Caleb from family gatherings for years. That ends now. Sophia should decide where she wants to live. I added, not us. She's 17, smart enough to make that choice herself. Dr. Cortez looked at Adriana. Mrs. Fisher, do you wish to respond? Adriana's voice was barely above a whisper. What about the penthouse? The penthouse is owned by a trust fund managed, I said. You can remain there for 6 months while you find alternative housing. After that, it will be sold or reassigned. 6 months, she said, looking panicked. That's generous, considering you told me to leave with nothing. I replied calmly. Roger cleared his throat. My client would like to discuss the affair allegations privately. No, I said firmly. Everything gets discussed here, on record, or it goes to court and becomes public record anyway. Your choice. Adriana closed her eyes. How did you find out about Derek? Someone who cared enough to show me the truth, I said. Unlike the people you thought were your friends. Does my father know? She asked. Not yet, but he will if this doesn't settle today. She looked at Roger, then back at me. What do you want from me, Raymond? I want you to accept responsibility. Sign the papers. Let Sophia make her own choices. And let me move forward without you trying to destroy me out of spite. And if I do that, you won't tell my father about Derek. If you settle fairly, what you did stays between us. I'm not interested in revenge, Adriana. I just want out. She sat there for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Okay, I'll sign. Roger started to protest, but she held up her hand. No, he's right. I made this mess. I'll accept the consequences. 2 hours later, the papers were signed. Adriana left without looking at me. Catherine packed up her briefcase, satisfied. That went better than expected, she said. She knows she's beaten, I replied. And somewhere under all that entitlement, she knows she deserved it. I walked out into the Boston evening, lighter somehow. 14 years had ended with signatures on paper. No drama, no theatrics, just the quiet ending of something that had been dying for years. My phone buzzed. Sophia, is it done? It's done. Good. Caleb and I are making dinner at your place. Get here soon. I smiled and headed home. 8 months later, I stood in the executive boardroom of Cunningham Capital Management as the newly appointed chief operating officer. Theodore sat at the head of the table, but the real power had shifted. The board knew it. Theodore knew it. And I'd earned it. Gentlemen, ladies, Theodore began, I'm pleased to announce that our Q3 numbers exceed projections by 18%. Our restructuring under Raymond's leadership has positioned us for the strongest fiscal year in company history. Applause around the table. I nodded acknowledgement, but didn't smile. This wasn't about validation. This was about building something sustainable. After the meeting, James Pemberton pulled me aside. There's someone here to see you. Says it's important. I walked to my new office, corner view, twice the size of what I'd had before. Standing by the window was a woman I didn't recognize at first. Mid-30s, professional suit, warm smile. Mr. Fisher, I'm Dr. Caroline Reed. I'm a financial analyst. Recently moved to Boston. How can I help you, Dr. Reed? I asked. Actually, I was hoping we could discuss the philanthropic fund you established. The one for children's hospitals. I'd set up the fund 6 months ago, quietly, using my own money. I've been donating anonymously through Cunningham Capital for years. But now I wanted it formalized, transparent, real. What about it? I asked. I'd like to contribute, and I'd like to help you expand it. I've reviewed your structure, and it's brilliant. Most people talk about giving back. You actually designed a system that works. We talked for an hour. She was sharp, funny, unpretentious. When she left, she handed me her card. If you ever want to grab coffee and talk about something other than money, I'd like that. I looked at the card, then at her. I'd like that too. That evening, I had dinner with Sophia and Caleb at my apartment, the one I'd purchased in my own name, decorated simply, no marble or pretension, just space that felt like mine. Dad, Caleb got accepted to the architecture program at MIT. Sophia announced proudly. That's incredible, I said, genuinely pleased. Congratulations. Thanks, Caleb said. And I want to tell you, I'm putting Fisher on all my applications now. Not hiding it anymore. My throat tightened. You never had to hide it. I know, but I wanted to. Now I want people to know whose son I am. Sophia raised her glass of soda. To family. The real kind. We clinked glasses. Later, after they left, I stood on my balcony overlooking the Charles River. Somewhere in this city, Adriana was rebuilding her life. I'd heard she'd moved to New York, closer to Derek, trying to start over. I hoped she'd find whatever she was looking for. My phone buzzed. A text from Dr. Caroline Reed. Coffee Saturday? There's a place in Cambridge I think you'd like. I typed back. Saturday works. Looking forward to it. I looked out at the lights reflecting off the water. Thought about everything that had led to this moment. The mockery, the dismissal, the moment I'd laid those keys on the counter and walked away from everything I thought was permanent. Turned out, nothing was permanent except the things you built yourself. The foundation held, and on it, I was building something new, something real, something mine.